My mom was an Omaha police officer. She was a marathon runner. She coached our basketball team. She ate well. She was the picture of perfect health. And then she was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 35, blindsided. We have a family history, 2 postmenopausal cases of breast cancer, 1 case of ovarian cancer, but that was kind of dismissed. As 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer, unfortunately in your family it appears to be just bad luck. So she fought that, eventually went into remission when a year later, after her mastectomy, a year later, breast cancer was back, this time around her heart and her sternum. And 1 surgeon would operate her in the entire country at the Mayo Clinic. And he did, and that prolonged her life. Three days before she passed away, she called all 3 of us kids in around her bedside and told us her expectations for us in life, going to college, being productive members of society, but that we also needed to have genetic testing so we would know our risk. We each had a 50-50 because she was a mutation carrier. Each one of us kids had a 50% chance of also carrying the mutation. So she told us it was an expectation, not an option, to get testing so we could live our lives proactively rather than reactively, a decision she never had the opportunity to make. So when the end was near, you would soak up every word that she would say. You'd hold her hand and you'd remember the texture of her skin. You'd remember like certain looks in her eyes, certain glows, just because you weren't always going to remember that. You're scared. And it's a surreal moment. You don't really realize. I'd watched her sick for 5 years. And you're realizing this is really happening, and the pressure's left on me to make sure that I watched my mom die of this. Now it's on me. I need to make sure that I don't die of this and my brother and sister don't die of this. If it wasn't for the pressure my mom put on us and the expectation to have the testing done, I don't know if I would have done it. I probably wouldn't have been ready. So at age 19, I was a waitress at a restaurant, and the cost for a single-site analysis was $700. So that was a lot of tables to wait on, especially when you're a full-time college student. But the test itself is simply gargling some mouthwash and spitting it into a tube, and that's it. Or the big panel genetic test is simply a blood draw. It's very non-invasive. So if you get over the financial cost of it, it's a very simple test. I went through genetic testing at age 19. At that point, I immediately began preventative screening and monitoring. It wasn't until I had my son Peyton, and he was sitting in the back seat of my car, and I got a call from my doctor saying, "Everything looks good, I'll see you in 6 months." And it kind of dawned on me that, oh my God, I'm waiting for her to call and tell me I have cancer. So I called her back immediately and I said, "Dr. Grange, I think it's time that we take the next step. I want to meet and talk about surgery options." So we did, and that's ultimately when I decided to go through my prophylactic mastectomy. It wasn't just me anymore. I had someone else to care for, and I didn't want to leave behind my son Peyton the way that my mom had to leave me. I have an 87% risk of breast cancer, and I have the power to do something about it before a diagnosis, something my mom didn't have the option to do.
That's my story.